Over to you, Pastor.
Yeah. Good afternoon and welcome, everyone. Just as the finance minister parallelly announces the third set of or the third level of economic reform and economic stimulus package that the government is rolling out for us, we are here to discuss on the road ahead post COVID-19, and we are here to talk more about literally decoding the economic package that is being offered and its impact, especially vis-a-vis the SMEs and startups in the country. So thank you all for joining us. I am Upasna from TIE Delhi, and I'm happy to introduce you to two of our speakers. But before we go forward, I'll just take a minute to talk a little more about TIE. We, as you all understand, are here to help and promote entrepreneurship and support entrepreneurs in whichever way we can. To know more about what we are doing, you can all go to our website, which is delhi.tie.org, which will let you know about whatever we are offering in terms of these sessions that we are curating on a daily basis. In addition to that, if you are keen to learn more about membership or mentoring or any other support that you seek as an entrepreneur, please feel free to drop us a line, which is quite simply info@tienewdelhi.org. We are eager to hear from you, and we are more than eager to help you in whichever way we can to our best level and our best, effort. So once again, we, as I said, try to create stuff which is relevant, not only just relevant, but really meaningful for entrepreneurs. And we couldn't have been more topical than what we are today. So as the package is being announced, we are here to discuss about its impact on uh, SMEs and startups. This has had a huge impact already. The lockdown itself, it's slowed down the supply chain. It's created a disruption in the demand supply cycle. And therefore, we are all seeing a very dull economic activity. There is unemployment, there is uncertainty, there are layoffs. So exactly how do traders, manufacturers, MSMEs, and other self-employed people get impacted by this? And we have with us today two people who have huge experience and a lot of learnings that they have gathered over the years to discuss this, and of course you're all free to ask questions. I request you all to post questions on the Q&A segment, and they'll be taken up along once the presentation is over. So I'd like to introduce Alok Patnia. Alok is the managing partner at Tax Mantra Global Firms. He is the CEO and managing partner at Tax Mantra. He's a fellow of the ICFI with a postgraduate qualification exposure in KPMG and Ernst & Young. He's also authored thousands of blogs on taxmantra.com and is a regular guest author on various platforms, various online platforms that we all are a part of. Our other speaker today is Rahul Agarwala. Rahul is a partner at Tax Mantra, South India practice head, as he qualifies this. Rahul serves as the VP operation at Tax Mantra. He's a fellow of the ICFI as well, and has experience ranging across all aspects of tax and taxation. He is into advisory, litigation, compliance, direct taxes, indirect taxes, and therefore we today, between the two of them, there is a combined experience which is really quite enviable. I would like to invite Alok to take over and kindly take us through this discussion. Alok, please.
Thanks, Upasna, and thanks, TIE Delhi. It feels good to be part of TIE Delhi and doing this webinar today. We all know that the world is fighting COVID-19 for almost 4 months now, and the repercussion of COVID-19 outbreak are being felt more strongly with every passing day. And uh, despite unprecedented steps and cumulative efforts taken by governments, businesses, individuals to stem up growth, the virus continues to impact across the globe, causing loss of life, hitting businesses across industries and verticals. We are today to discuss about the economic package which the Prime Minister announced on 12th of May, nearing 20 lakh crore, which is around 10% of India's GDP. And post that, the finance minister and the finance ministry team, they are doing regular press conferences from 13th of May. They started doing it, and as we speak, they are still doing the press conference, which is number 4. So 13th, 14th, 15th, and 16th, and I think they will do the final press conference tomorrow, if my understanding is correct, but that has to be seen. So today we will cover what government has announced till yesterday, but I will also cover in brief in terms of what I have heard till now from the finance minister, what they have announced today, and let's see in terms of what all they have covered today. So the announcement which the finance ministry has uh, covered, ranging from liquidity measure for businesses and MSME, agriculture sector, migrant workers, includes the measure already announced before these announcements. So the government had announced in the last month, with relates to mostly related to below poverty line and people who are totally dependent on their daily income. They had announced 1.7 lakh crore relief package. The government had also announced in terms of government will contribute the complete 24% monthly wage of PF, both on behalf of the employer and employee. And government has also announced in terms of refundable advance from the PF. So the government also did lot of relaxation in the statutory and compliance matters, from GST, from income tax and TDS. In fact, the government also allowed individuals to invest in tax saving instruments till 30th of June. And the today the RBI has already announced a lot of liquidity measures, which includes giving the moratorium for 3 months from March, April, and May. We need to see whether they will extend this moratorium or not. The finance ministry has also brought in 3 lakh crore of loan policy for MSME, wherein the government will take 100% guarantee of both principal and interest. So there are a lot of things to be discussed today. Today, the finance ministry has brought in structural changes which will have long-term impact on India. So today, what in the sectors of coal, mineral, defense, production, airspace, lot of areas. Two, three things which stands out for me is that the FDI in defense has been increased from 49 to 74%. So that means that larger defense companies and manufacturers which were manufacturing in US or in Europe, and they might want to come to India. Earlier they were not doing it because they were not having the controlling stake. So I think there are lot of things to be discussed, and Rahul, my colleague, will get into the details with his presentation to discuss all those areas in detail. And I'm here to answer all your queries. If you have any queries, you can just type in the chat box, and we will pick it up. Thanks again to Tai Delhi and Upasna and the team. I hand over to Rahul to start his presentation.
Thank you, Alok. Good evening, everyone. So, yeah, as Alok was talking about, so government, the Prime Minister announced a 20 lakh crore package on the 12th of May, and then the Finance Minister is like holding press conferences every day. So three have been done for 3 consecutive days till today, till yesterday. Today we are having the fourth package being announced, and we are expecting a fifth one to happen tomorrow. And these packages, they do also include the other measures which the government or the RBI, the liquidity measures which have already been announced prior to these announcements which are happening right now. So we have already seen the Reserve Bank of India for increasing the liquidity, apart from the moratorium for 3 months which they have provided. They they have reduced the cash reserve ratio, repo rates have been reduced, and all these measures in total are contributing to the liquidity, which is close to 3.74 lakh crores, as has been announced by the RBI earlier. So apart from that, before moving into the three packages which the government has announced, there is a lot of announcements around MSMEs. There is a change in the MSME definition, wherein new companies, they are getting covered under the MSME definition. There is expansion in the scope of who are covered under MSME and not. So we'll go to all the three parts and we'll discuss more about the MSME sector. Before that, we'll like to go through the three incentive schemes, the three schemes which has been notified with effect from 1st April 2020 by the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology. So draft scheme came sometime in March, and effective April 1, the final scheme have been notified. And these three schemes are mostly relating to increase in electronics manufacturing in India. So the first scheme is the production linked incentive scheme for large scale. Then secondly, there is a scheme for promotion of manufacturing of electronic components and semiconductors. There is a scheme called Modified Electronic Manufacturing Clusters, EMC2 scheme. So we'll quickly go through these three schemes because these schemes are a booster towards the manufacturing sector, and close to 20% production of its smartphones to India. We have heard about Lava moving its manufacturing of phones and electronics from China to India. We have heard Philips talking about doing a large-scale investment to increase manufacturing in India. So there are quite of news and noises around production of electronics coming into India, and these three schemes contribute towards all these which are happening. So we'll go through the specifics. So PLI is for came on 1st of April 2020, and it offers a production linked incentive to boost domestic manufacturing and attract large investments in the mobile manufacturing and specified electronic components, including assembly, testing, marking, and packaging units. And mostly in the scheme, the manufacturers will be incentivized by up to 4 to 6 base year manufacture India. And this scheme is available for a period of 5 years subsequent to the base year which is defined. So 5 years from the base year, a scheme on the incremental sales, incentive on the incremental sales of up to 4 to 6% will be provided, which can be considered as a direct cost saving for the companies, and that is triggering the companies. They are now rethinking their total cost advantage which they were earlier having in other countries, and seeing how does it work out to them. And the news around is that it is working out well, and companies are seriously thinking about starting their manufacturing in India and take the benefit of this incentive scheme. So the scheme is open for applications for a period of 4 months initially, which may again be extended, and support under the scheme shall be provided for 5 years subsequent to the base year. And the scheme will be implemented through a nodal agency which shall act as a project management agency, and it shall be responsible for providing all the clearances and help them in the implementation of the scheme. The second scheme is the scheme for promotion of manufacturing of electronic components and semiconductors. So again, it's by way of a separate notification, but of the same date, April 1, 2020. And this will offset the disability of domestic manufacturing of electronic components and semiconductors in order to strengthen the electronics manufacturing ecosystem in the country, the overall ecosystem. And this scheme will provide financial incentive of 25% of the capital expenditure for the identified list of electronic goods that comprise downstream value chain of electronics product. That is electronic components, semiconductors, display fabrication units, ATMP units, specialized sub-assemblies and capital goods for manufacture of aforesaid goods, all of which involve high value added manufacturing. And this scheme will be applicable to investments in new units and expansion of the capacity and modernization of the existing units. The capital expenditure will be total of expenditure in plant, in machinery, in equipments, associated utilities, technology, and it includes expenses towards research and development. So this will give a boost towards domestic research and development, increase in domestic research and development in the electronic manufacturing segment. Then this scheme is open for application initially for 3 years from the date of its notification. And incentive under the scheme will be applicable from the date of acknowledgement of the application. And the incentive will be available for investment made within 5 years from the date of acknowledgement of the application. And similar to the first scheme, the scheme will also be managed through the nodal agency, the project management agency. The third scheme is modified electronic manufacturing cluster scheme. So this scheme has come into play for to offset the disabilities faced by industries for quality infrastructure and to develop a robust electronics manufacturing ecosystem in the country and to make India an electronic manufacturing hub. So the modified electronic clusters scheme was notified on 1st April and with the objective to address the disabilities by providing support for creation of world-class infrastructure along with common facilities and amenities, including ready-built factory sheds, plug-and-play facilities for attracting major global electronics manufacturers along with their supply chain to set up units in the country. The scheme will fortify the linkage between domestic and international market by strengthening supply chain responsiveness, consolidation, and consolidation of the suppliers. So the EMC2 scheme, this provides financial assistance for setting up of both EMC projects and common facility centers across the country. The scheme is open for receipt of application for a period of 3 years from the date of notification, and further period of 5 years is available for disbursement of fund to the approved projects. And an application shall be made by project implementing agency, which can be state government or state implementing agency or central public sector unit or state public sector unit or industrial corridor development corporations such as DMICDC. So these are the agencies which have been notified, which would play a role in this whole system. And all the applications received under EMC2 scheme through project management agency will be considered by project review committee for giving its recommendation to the PMA for according approval rejection of the project. So this scheme goes through the approval route. So again, apart from
So Rahul, just if you can just summarize all the three scheme which is there, and just summarize and let us know in terms of what is are there any units which have established and what is the benefit for startups in this? I mean, are they able to set up more units under the electronic scheme which is there?
Yeah, so all the three schemes are focused towards increase in electronics manufacturing in India and for creation of the electronic manufacturing infrastructure. As of now, so India has started assembling smartphones and electronics in India to a large extent as compared to what it was there a few years ago. But deeper penetration into the system, the overall supply chain being available and the components which are imported and assembled in India. So the manufacturing of those components also in India is what is now being targeted. So the incentive scheme, the first scheme will give the cost advantage wherein there will be a direct benefit. The second scheme again gives benefit on the capital investment which is being done towards the initial setup, plant, machinery, research and development. And the third scheme talks about creating of clusters and overall ecosystem of electronic manufacturing. So all three combined will help towards this overall electronic manufacturing ecosystem in India.
And as you're speaking, I am just reading a news wherein Lava has planning to shift the complete operations from China to India and invest close to 800 crores in India. I think they will also get benefited under this scheme. Yeah, we
Yes,
can.
yes.
Yeah. So we can move ahead. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So moving ahead again, before going to the three schemes which we have been which will be taking up the three parts of announcements which the finance minister has already done, and the one which she is doing today. So we wanted to share an update which is already there in the news. So when the lockdown started, the Ministry of Home Affairs, they gave a order to the private companies that there should not be any layoffs and wage cuts of the employees during the lockdown period. However, that has been challenged in the Supreme Court by various petitioners, and Supreme Court have stayed that order for at least a week. And because the center had sought 1 week of time to reply uh, to the matters raised in the appeal, and hence there is a 1 week of stay. So this is something which has come into litigation, and we'll have to keep an eye on the developments around this.
I think this came only yesterday, wherein a lot of people had filed a plea in Supreme Court saying that how can government can force or advise employers to not lay off people or not reduce salary. I think you're referring to one of the Ministry of Home Affairs notification wherein they said that employers and business owners should not do that. So someone filed a petition in the Supreme Court, and yesterday the Supreme Court had put a stay on it and saying that no punitive action or no there cannot be any legal action against those companies. And I think this will bring in a lot of clarity, because a lot of businesses and companies, and they had this confusion. They were in double mind in terms of whether they should lay off not, and if they lay off, will there be any legal challenges? I mean, on a humanitarian ground, we should help our employees, but just an update which we wanted to share with our audience.
Yes, there are state laws also, and this particular notification, and it's being challenged based on the MHA's guideline. So we'll have to see how this comes out to be.
Yeah.
So apart from this, there are various state governments who are bringing in labor law reforms and land reforms in some cases, and this is all being done to tap the manufacturing opportunity which the state governments and the central government are seeing that can be attracted into India, because various companies they want to reduce their dependency on one particular country. And apart from that, these reforms were anyway required to the Indian economy has been not very fast growing in last few years, and there these land reforms, labor reforms, they were required to boost the economy, the overall manufacturing sector and the industrial sector in India. So this was the time, and this is the time to bring in more such structural reforms. So some state governments, they have taken up steps. We would not call them reforms as such, and it's not centralized as of now. We have not heard it from the central government. They have shown the intent, but the change in laws have been done by a few of the state governments. So, for instance, in the labor laws, UP government has completely suspended the applicability of almost all the labor laws for next 3 years. Similarly, the MP government and the Gujarat governments have also brought in a lot of relaxations in the Factories Act, in the Shops and Establishment Act, and several other labor laws which are applicable. Rajasthan, Punjab, Odisha, there are other states also which have brought in some labor law related relaxations, and like they will have to be seen on a state to state basis. However, labor laws, like some are state specific, some are governed by the central agencies, central government. So before implementing all of these changes, the approval from the central government and assent of the President of India is required. So all these announcements are still pending with the President of India, and once it's approved by the President of India and the central government, then they will be actually applicable and implementable on the ground. And similarly, some states have started bringing in land reforms. So the industrial land in India, agricultural land, are were, were like were and are mostly required to be procured through the government agencies, through the state government. However, the Karnataka government, they have allowed the industries which have to be set up to be they are allowed to directly procure the land from the farmers without the intervention of the state government. So again, this is an announcement which has happened, but actual change in the law and how does it turn out to be actually implementable is what has to be seen, and I think more clarity will come in the days to come. So yeah.
So I think the two things why land and labor are so important in this context is very important to understand, because for any country to become a manufacturing hub, land and labor reforms are very critical. You need to have land which is available to manufacturers when they want to invest, and also they should not be harassed by unreasonable labor laws. I think, and government has realized it, and the state government has also realized it. Even today, there are some announcements with respect to labor uh, reforms and land reforms, more specifically on land reforms. So I think the government is now finally moving into the right direction. Even the state governments are moving into the right direction. You rightly said that most of the state governments have suspended the labor laws, and I think these two areas are very critical. The if the uh, vision of Prime Minister, which is be local in terms of and making India the manufacturing hub, this is very critical.
Yes, Alok. So we'll go through the announcements, the three press conferences which have happened till yesterday, and one is underway today. And one of the major investment announcement which happened was relating to the MSME sector and the entities which are registered under the MSME Act. So this was the first announcement which happened on the 13th of May. So we'll see that what kind of industries were covered under the MSME classification. So MSME includes three kind of classification: the micro, small, and the medium enterprises. And earlier, the definition had separate thresholds for manufacturing enterprises and service enterprises. And the criteria which was available was mostly related to the investment which was made into the assets, the plant and machinery of the enterprise. So earlier, to qualify as a micro enterprise, investment of less than 25 lakhs for manufacturing enterprise and less than 10 lakhs for service enterprise was there. For small enterprises, investment of less than 5 crore and for manufacturing entities, and less than 2 crores for service entities were there. And for medium enterprises, investment for less than 10 crore in manufacturing enterprise and less than 5 crore for service enterprises were there. So two major changes which have been done through this announcement and amendment in the MSME Act is that the difference between the manufacturing enterprise and service enterprise have been removed. The threshold have been made common for both the kind of enterprises. Secondly, they have increased the investment limit so that more enterprises can be covered under this definition and they can avail the benefit. And third, they have also introduced the upper cap of the turnover, which was not there earlier. And when both the conditions are satisfied, the company gets covered under this particular definition. So now investment of less than 1 crore and turnover of less than 5 crore is what will make a company micro. Similarly, investment of less than 10 crore and turnover of less than 50 crore for small enterprises, and investment of less than 20 crore and turnover of 100 crore for medium enterprises. So this is the criteria and classification for getting covered under the MSME Act and getting the benefit under these three categories: micro, small, and medium categories of entities. So before moving ahead and understanding what all relaxations have been and then the benefits have been provided in this particular package announcement, we'll just quickly go through that why registration under MSME has been beneficial in general. So MSME Act has been there in place since 2006. And there were several schemes which had already come from time to time, and several announcements have been made by government earlier, which were already there in place. And that is why many entities, they were registered under the MSMEs, or they wanted to get themselves registered under the MSME scheme. So one of the most famous benefit and famous scheme was the CGS, the credit guarantee scheme from the central government, the government of India. They guaranteed the loan. It was a collateral-free loan which the enterprises are still allowed to take under the scheme. And the MSME the MSME ministry, and through SIDBI and through a trust which they have created, the CGT MSE trust, these loans were being provided, and they are still being provided. So this is one of the major benefit for getting registered under the MSME. So then there are other benefits like eligible for industrial promotion subsidy. Then it provides 50% subsidy on patent registration whenever trademarks and patent registrations are done under the IP laws. Some relaxations are given to MSME registered entities. 1% exemption on interest rate on overdraft is available. Protection against delayed payment. Again, this is also a very important and important benefit which registered MSMEs, they get. So there is a time limit provided, and mostly the payments due to MSME cannot be due for more than 45 days. And if it is still due, there has to be a filing done with the MSME department. There has to be a penal interest and late payment charges which has to be paid by the defaulter who delays the payment. And the rate of such interest can be 3 times of the bank rate, which has been notified by the Reserve Bank of India. So the registered MSME, they get some kind of a protection against the payment from their customers that may get stuck. And there are still other benefits like reimbursement of ISO certification charges. There are concession available in electricity bills, market assistance from the government, and export promotion, technology and quality upgradation support to MSMEs are available. And there are some other benefits which is provided based on the entity satisfying the eligibility criteria. It's like priority lending sector, purchase preference policy, price preference policy, benefits in tendering and raw material assistance scheme of the National Small Industries Corporation. So these all are benefits which are anyways available to MSMEs. And in addition to this, so we'll just go through the benefits which were announced in the first press conference.
Rahul, just one point I want to make. So I think every business should register themselves under the MSME scheme. And I keep listening to many of the startups founders that what government has done for startups. So we have to understand that there are inbuilt benefits which are there under this scheme. At least they should register under this scheme, so at least their data are secured, and they get a lot of benefits. The loan scheme which is there, if they are profitable and if they are able to convince the bank for CGMT scheme, that is also very good. So now you can move ahead, Rahul. Yeah.
So the schemes which are announced on 13th of May. So some of them are specifically for MSMEs, and some of them are for other businesses in MSME. Some are like general tax measures or liquidity measures which have been announced. So it's mix of thing focused towards MSME. So the first one is the 3 lakh crore collateral free automatic loans for businesses, including MSMEs. The 20,000 crore subordinate debt for MSMEs who are under stress. Then there is a 50,000 crore equity infusion towards the MSME fund of funds. So new definition of MSME was announced, which we have already covered. Global tender has been disallowed up to a tender value of 200 crores. So only the MSMEs and domestic
This is and
enterprises
this
will
is
be.
and this is very, very critical. I mean, and they have relaxed on eligibility criteria also. Earlier, smaller business would not be able to go and bid for larger government tenders. So I think this is something which is massive. Uh, and also the 3 lakh crore collateral free automatic loan. So you need to talk to your bank. I think this is also a very good thing which the government has done. And this is mostly for the current loan. So if you have a loan or if you have a overdraft facility which is there with your bank can help you to give you 20% on that for the COVID to come out of the COVID situation.
Yes. So then there is a 2,500 crore EPF support for businesses and workers for 3 more months. It was earlier introduced. It has been extended for 3 more months. So EPF contribution amount has been reduced, and there is a rupees 45,000 crore partial credit guarantee scheme, two for NBFCs. There is a 90,000 crore liquidity injection towards the DISCOMs, the
So
electricity
today,
distribution companies. Yeah.
even yesterday, they came up with a very large announcement in terms of discoms. So they are trying to privatize discoms now.
Okay.
So all the discoms, because the central government can only privatize discoms which are there in union territories. So they have decided to do that straight away. And I think it's the right direction. Even state governments will do. I think the state governments have not run well the discoms, and there are a lot of losses and inefficiencies there in terms of the way they charge and everything. So I think that reform is already in place now. That's happening.
Sure, Alok. There are relief which is being provided to the contractors for execution of the contracts already in hand and which has been stopped due to the lockdown. So under the RERA Act also there has been amendment and extension has been provided for registration and completion date. Again, this is a relaxation towards the lockdown and the hindrances which have been caused due to the lockdown. And TDS and TCS rates reduction have been brought in to increase liquidity till certain extent. And there are other direct tax measures which have been taken. So of this first part, like few of them, like the 3 lakh crore collateral and the TDS related things and few other points, the EPF related points we'll discuss in bit detail. Others will go through quickly. So this 3 lakh crore collateral free loan, the statement says that it's a automatic loan and it will help the businesses, including MSMEs. Those have been badly hit due to COVID-19. And this is in the nature of emergency credit line. And the amount would be the 20% of entire outstanding credit limit, outstanding credit as on 29th February 2020. The amount of loan which is outstanding as on 29th February 2020, 20% of that should be automatically available for the person for further borrowing.
So basically, what that means that any loan which was due to bank as on 29th of February 2020, you are automatically eligible 20% of that. Now, if you had a loan of 50 lakh rupees which was due on 29th of February, you automatically get 10 lakh rupees. You just need to go to the bank, and there are very basic formalities you need to do. And this loan is 100% guaranteed by the central government, both on principal and interest. And because of that, the bank don't have any problem in giving this loan, because they will not, this will not be an NPA for them. There is no guarantee, there is no fresh collateral which is required, and it is a 12-month moratorium on this for the principal part. So this is something which is very massive, but this is open to only businesses who already have a loan which is running at this point of time for them. uh, Assis has just asked that what is the interest rate. So interest rate, it, the as of now the notification says that the interest rate will be capped. So basically that means that it will be somewhere near the repo rate. It will be a low interest rate. And uh, the the loan which you can avail, you can talk to any of the, so MSME, there are list of banks which have been authorized to give MSME loan. The list is there on the MSME website. You can approach them and talk to them.
So mostly the interest rate would be the existing interest rate of the loan which the person has already availed, but there is a upper limit. It cannot be ad hoc any rate
Yeah.
which the bank or the NBFC would be charging. They have capped it. Exact capping of the interest rate is not something which is available in the public domain right now. So more clarity will come
So
on this.
I just to add, I can give you. So one of my client has applied. One of the government banks, they have offered 8.05. So just because I had this information, so I can give it to you.
Yeah,
Someone just asked me that our startups avail this loan. Uh, so what we have to understand is that for all these loans, because somewhere someone is required to pay back this loan. So as a standard measure, what government do is they need to see the credit history. Now the challenge with startups, I always wanted to uh, clarify this point. The problem with very early stage startups are that they don't have the credit history, or they may not be profitable, or they may not have a history of taking loans. So for them it's a challenge. And sadly, if you are funded by investors, or if you're still not making profits, it becomes difficult for government also to pass on you loan, because at the end of the day are helping you to come out of this COVID situation. But at the end of the day, they also want to ensure that you will be able to pay back that loan. So I think what is more important is that you should try to get covered under the MSME definition, rather than uh, the definition of startup, because at least for this loan is concerned. Yeah, Rahul.
and Alok, one more important point is that this loan is not a new loan. This is not something which someone can avail right now, because this is directly linked with the outstanding amount of credit as on 29th February 2020. So the enterprises who already have taken loans from banks and financial institutions, and there is a outstanding amount as on 29th Feb, they are eligible for 20% of that right away.
Yeah,
But it's not a new or a fresh availment which anyone can take right now.
yes.
And there's a limit. So this loan is available for borrowers whose borrowing has been up to 25 crore rupees, which is outstanding. So if the outstanding is more than 25 crores, then this scheme is not available for such enterprises. And also the turnover of the enterprise should be up to 100 crore. So the enterprises having turnover of more than 100 crore, they would not be eligible for this scheme.
Yeah.
And so the loan would be in the nature of term loan with 4 years total period of the loan, first 12 months being moratorium, wherein only interest has to be paid and principal repayment is not required. And in the balance period of the loan, the principal and interest will have to be repaid.
Yeah. So just one point I want to clarify. We need to move ahead quickly because we'll not need to cover a lot. So Nitin is asking in terms of, is this policy for profitable MSME company who does not have existing loan or any policy which gives so the current 3 lakh crore collateral free credit line which we are talking about, which is specifically relating to COVID, is for as MSMEs which already have loan running with any of the banks. As far as collateral free loan is concerned, CGMT scheme is there, wherein the central government has given a complete guarantee up to 2 crore rupees. So if you are profitable and if you have a credit history, and you should talk to the bank and try to get the CGMT scheme, which is also collateral free.
Yeah, so that is not part of the current COVID-19 package announcement, but it is already there in place.
Yeah, that's there. Also, this credit line is also for cash credit and OD and also any of the term loan. Yeah.
Yes, so it should be ideally in the name of the business. So if there is a personal loan in the name of the individual and not related to any business, this is not available. But if it is a business loan in the name of entity, in name of enterprise which is doing business, the nature of business does not matter. It can be a sole proprietorship, a form of entity can be sole proprietorship, partnership form, company, LLP. It does not matter. The kind of loan also does not matter, but it should be a business loan in the name of the enterprise, and ideally it is automatically available, the 20%.
Yeah. Let's move ahead.
So then we have this 20,000 crore subordinate debt for stressed MSMEs. So these are related to the NPA accounts, the stressed amount wherein the repayment is becoming difficult for the entities. For such entities, this scheme has been brought in, wherein the credit guarantee will be provided by the central government.
So this is for stressed out entities which were NPAs as on 29th of February. So additional support has been given. So basically, what the government is trying to do is to ensure that no businesses gets into NPA because of COVID. And if you were there, then government will provide you some relaxation at this point of time.
So it's a subordinate debt. Again, the entities which already have a loan and it has become a bad loan, they'll have to contact their existing bankers to take the further details of the scheme and avail the scheme.
Yeah.
So then there is a 50,000 crore fund of funds which has been announced to be created for MSMEs. And this fund of funds will have an initial corpus of 10,000 crore to be set up. And this will be doing a equity funding for the MSMEs with high growth potential and viability. And they have created a mother fund and daughter fund structure, and to leverage this total 50,000 crore announcement which the government has made. However, the fine prints of the scheme, how it will work and how the investment will happen, is still awaited. So as of now, we are not able to comment any further on this scheme.
Yeah.
As we were discussing earlier, global tenders, they have been disallowed up to 200 crores. So only global tenders of higher amount than 200 crores will be allowed. Otherwise, it will have to be local tendering, and local entities and local enterprises will be able to participate in it and get the work and will be doing it.
Yeah. Just one small point. So I'm getting a lot of queries and questions at this point of time. So we will keep last 10 minutes for queries. We can move ahead and then we will talk about those.
Okay. There are other interventions for MSMEs. So related to marketing and liquidity due to COVID-19. So e-market linkage of MSME to be promoted. So these are again policy decisions. So the execution of these on the ground will have to be seen. So e-market linkage has been proposed. So fintech, it has been said that fintech will be used to enhance transaction-based lending Then government has been continuously monitoring settlement of dues to MSME vendors from government and central PSUs, and MSME receivables from the government and central PSUs are being monitored, and timely release of funds is being done. Apart from this, there is a 2,500 crore EPF support for businesses and workers for 3 more months. So this Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan package, wherein payment of 12% of employer and 12% of employee contribution was announced earlier. So earlier it was provided for March, April and May. Now this has been extended for 3 more months. So June, July and August 2020 is also now covered under this particular scheme. So the conditions which were there earlier still remains, that it is available to entities up to 100 workers and 90% of them having 15,000 or less salary and wages.
Yeah.
So apart from it, to increase the take-home salary of the employees, PF contribution of employer and employee is reduced to 10% from 12% for 3 months. And however, the PSUs and central public sector enterprises, they will continue to contribute 12%. And the scheme will be applicable for workers who are not eligible for 24% EPF support under the PM Garib Kalyan package. So the person who are taking the Garib Kalyan package, they will be covered under the package itself, but for others, for 3 months, 10% contribution will be done so that take-home salary is increased by a certain amount. Again, there is a liquidity scheme for non-banking financial companies, housing finance companies, and again, this is a refinance scheme wherein the government, the RBI, they will take care of the funds for these entities so that these entities can seamlessly continue to lend to their borrowers on the ground. There is a 45,000 crore partial credit guarantee scheme, 2 for the NBFCs. So NBFCs and HFCs and MFIs with low credit rating require liquidity to do fresh lending. Existing PCGS scheme to be extended to cover borrowings such as primary issuance of bonds and commercial papers. First 20% of the loss will be borne by the guarantor, which is the Government of India. Again, this is a liquidity measure mostly for the lending institutes so that they can continue to lend on the ground. There is a 90,000 crore liquidity provided to the power distribution companies because of the stress which they have been because of the latest lockdown and lower collection which they are having, and lower consumption at the industrial and commercial levels. There is a relief to contractors wherein there is an extension of 6 months which is being provided to all kind of contractors. And there will be no damages, and the guarantees will not expire. This is again because of the lockdown situation which is there in place. Similarly, under the RERA, the due dates have been extended, and they have been allowed to treat COVID-19 as a force measure and an act of God, so that they can take the benefit because of the delay which has happened due to the lockdown. Then there is a 25% reduction on the TDS and TCS rates. So a 10% rate becomes a 7.5% rate, 2% rate becomes 1.5% rate. This reduction will remain till 31st March 2021. So that the advance tax that in the form of TDS, which goes to the government, stays with the companies in form of liquidity. This has also been done keeping in view of the reduced profit estimates which would be there for various self-employed people and service providers, companies, and hence a reduction in the tax deduction at source has been done. The people who would otherwise get refund only after the income tax return is filed and processed after the end of the year, they can have a bit of immediate liquidity on account of lesser TDS being deducted. So there are other direct tax measures wherein the refunds for like earlier they announced that refunds up to 5 lakhs will be released immediately. Now they have announced that for non-corporate businesses, all kind of entities, they'll immediately issue all the pending refunds. These are again money of the businesses only, but they are taking it up so that a quicker refund and liquidity can be ensured on the ground. So due date for income tax return filings have been extended. For individuals from July 31st, it has been extended till 30th of November. Tax audit due date has been extended from 30th September to 31st October. And the return filing due date for audit cases have also been increased till 30th of November. Then there the Vivad Se Vishwas scheme, which has been brought in for settling of appeals and pending litigation under the income tax laws. The scheme benefit was earlier accruing till 31st of March. That has been extended till 31st December. And the time barring dates for the assessment, again, this is a procedural benefit which they have provided, and time barring cases, the due date, the time barring dates have been extended by 3 months. So these were the major announcement in the first press conference which was done. There were announcements in the second press conference which was done on 14th of May. And again, this was mostly related to liquidity to the farmers and rural economy. Will not go into much details into it. So they discussed about the loans which have been approved from time to time during this COVID-19 situation, and new liquidity measures which have been taken through NABARD and other government organizations.
So I think the announcement second and third were mostly relating to the rural economy and agriculture. So maybe we can summarize that later.
Yeah.
We can start with the Q&A if that fits all, because a lot of queries which are relating to, and lot of the first announcement was particularly relating to MSME and small businesses, and then today there are a lot of announcements. So I think yesterday there were some announcements with regard to cold storage and fisheries. Again, those are again relating to rural economy.
Yeah, but the companies who are into agri-tech, or the companies who are e-commerce business
Hmm.
related to agriculture and in the supply chain and logistics related.
So those things we can cover now. Yeah.
So for them, there are a lot of announcements, and mostly it's the 1 lakh crore agri infrastructure fund which has been allocated.
This is very important.
The farm gate infrastructure for the farmers. So again, it covers the aggregators, it covers the farm producer organizations, it covers the startups and entrepreneurs who are, and even the cooperative societies who are in businesses related to the agriculture department. So overall infrastructure enhancement for them, and there were announcements relating to removing the state-related barriers which were there earlier for agriculture produce. That has been removed completely. The farmers were allowed to sell their produce only to the few licensed organizations. Now they are free to sell it to the buyers, to the industries, to the processing units directly. The Essential Commodities Act, that was amended. So again to allow the cold storage, the processing units, and such organizations to enable them to stock the amount and keep the supply into so that the supply is not disrupted, and even when there are changes in the level of demand, changes in the level of production, changes in the export or imports, during all these times, the farmers, they still get the kind of price which they are expecting, and the organizations, the entities relating to processing of these items, storage of these items, they do not get impacted. So for them, it's a good initiative which the government has taken. So the businesses which are involved in such part of the supply chain related to agricultural products, they are going to benefit from this.
Yeah. So to summarize, under agriculture, what is the government is trying to do is trying to create a massive infrastructure. You rightly said 1 lakh crore is being earmarked for this manufacture, and that will cover the supply chain and that will cover the cold storage. So a lot of startups who are in agriculture, who are in agri-tech, they have huge opportunities because now they have a playing field and they will come up with their solution. And a lot of monopoly which was there with the government is now being removed, and framework has been created for supply chain and other stuff. So I think overall more efficiency is trying to be brought in by government and smaller players, and I think agri-tech is something which will become very big once this COVID situation eases out and normalcy comes back. Agri-tech, because India as a country needs to be very efficient in terms of how we produce and how we preserve also. Preservation is very important, wherein we as a country is lacking at this point of time, preservation of food. So agriculture will become very, very critical in terms of, so startups, one clue for startups, they can focus and in agri-tech, which will become very large. So we have tried to cover today also. So do you, yeah, Upasna.
Yeah, no, I was just saying, so would you like to take some questions now? Because we have a few, and then also we sort of running out of time. So it may just, if you can pick up a few questions from there.
Yeah, I will do that. So Rahul, can you quickly in 2 minutes run through us in terms of what has been discussed today, the fourth announcement, and then I will start taking up questions.
Sure. So yeah, when we started this session, today's announcement was still under process, and we have tried to capture what was said before we started with today's session. So key highlight for today is again focus on structural reforms and industrial infrastructure. And so the finance minister tried to cover 8 major sectors and the reforms relating to those sectors. They are mainly coal, mineral, defense, airspace, civil aviation, power sector, including atomic energy. So the major announcements were that the central government will rank the states according to their investor and business friendliness. They will start a mechanism of handholding of the investors so that they get the kind of support which they expect, and fast track of clearance and seamless approval for them, providing them land solutions with the land reforms. And they'll also be ranking the industrial parks so that the parks with better ranking can attract more investment.
Yeah.
So major announcement happened in the coal sector, wherein the kind of privatization was announced, wherein commercial mining shall now be allowed on a profit sharing basis. And they also mentioned that the existing coal blocks of the Coal India Limited will also be covered under this scheme. And not only coal, because coal is a polluting mineral, so gasification and use of methane, coal bed methane into the exploration and use of those will be increased. And reduction in import of coal is in the pipeline, with 50 new blocks to be brought under auction, and 50,000 crores being allocated for relocation and to enable these reforms. For other minerals also, 500 new blocks and seamless exploration and allocation cum extraction scheme was announced. A joint auction of various minerals were announced, so at times industry, they require more than one mineral and they get one and they wait for other. And so to take care of these kind of hassles, a joint auction of the minerals required for a particular industry is something which is announced. For instance, aluminum industry can get both coal and bauxite in a single auction. And rationalization of the stamp duty and the royalties which are paid by the mining industry on extraction is something which the finance minister talked about. So this was regarding to coal and minerals. Then in the defense, as we discussed in the
Defense.
very beginning.
So defense, as I was discussed in the evening, at the start, defense, there is a huge announcement wherein the FDI limit has been enhanced from 49 to 74%. And the Ordnance Factory Board is to be reconstituted, and they are planning to list Ordnance Factory Board. So that will be something which is very huge. What they are also putting a restriction on products which they feel that the military product can be manufactured in India. So that restriction will come in very soon. I think now we can move ahead. So these were the announcement today. Civil
Some
aviation.
announcements around the civil aviation sector also. We'll take this at a later stage when we maybe after tomorrow's we can do one more webinar. We'll look into.
That's right.
Yeah. So
there are a few questions over there which can be taken now.
Yeah, Upasana. So just a second. So Ganesh is asking in terms of how does a new startup should plan its way to start its business at this condition, under which scheme should we start? So Ganesh, the reality is that most of the schemes which are there and under government in terms of the loan scheme, they somewhere look for credit history for at least 2 to 3 years of credit history and profitability. There are smaller loans which are available, say up to 10 lakh rupees, or if there is a personal guarantee which can be provided by directors, then these loans are provided. But technically, these loans are on a higher interest rate. So you have to talk to the manager in terms of the bank, in terms to understand and see whether you can get some of the loans which are there for MSME, which are smaller loans. So that can be done. Rahul, so Radhesh is asking anything for small production of industrial engineering products. So has the government announced anything for the engineering product? I understand they have announced for the electronic product. What about the engineering product? Anything specific?
So as of now, they have announced about electronic manufacturing under the 3 schemes which was notified on 1st of April. And in general, the manufacturing, they're talking about the defense sector. They're talking about general manufacturing schemes which they are providing. So engineering kind of gets covered under in few of them, but there is nothing specific.
So we might have to wait for tomorrow to see what they announce. Ajit, so you want to understand in terms of methods of calculation of investment in plant and machinery. I think you want to understand whether you fit in under the MSME definition. So we can send you offline the calculation for you to understand this. Are MSMEs benefits available to educational societies and educational institutions are also registered under MSME? Rahul?
Yeah, so there's no restriction as such on any particular sector. If you are a registered MSME and there's no criteria, like entity-wise restriction is also not available. So if you are a registered MSME, the benefit which is available to you also, Mohit.
Yeah. Let me just see. So our aquaculture industry, who will be the nodal agency to access the agri fund? I think the government still needs to announce. If you are talking about what they've announced today and yesterday, we still need to see who will be the nodal agency. Rahul, do you have any views on it? Who will be the nodal agency for the agri fund?
I think we don't have clarity on that as of now.
Okay. Then, so Upasana, can you enable Prashant? He has raised his hands. If we can enable him, he can ask his question.
Yeah, so I request Prashant to just write the question there, because I don't think we are
I've given
taking the
access to
raising the
Prashant if
hand
he
format.
can.
Prashant, request you to just,
Given access to Prashant if he wants
I think
to
it's
ask
okay.
questions.
He can write it down now, Abhishek.
Okay.
Yes,
okay.
he can give
Especially
a Q&A.
because we are running out of time, so it's better if he writes it down. Yeah.
So
Okay.
Radhesh has asked in the meanwhile that are MSME benefits for trading of goods related business available? So mainly MSME, in the definition of MSME covers manufacturers and service industries. Traders are mostly not covered in that. And but the benefits announced by government, some are MSME specific and some are for all businesses. Example, the 3 lakh crore automatic credit line, it is not restricted just to MSME. It's available to anyone who fulfills the criteria of less than like up to 25 crore of loan outstanding and 100 crore of turnover. Similarly, the stressed asset is also available to other businesses also. So so as a trader, maybe wood trader or in any other segment, as a trader, you can take the benefits which are not MSME specific.
Yeah. Okay. I think I have covered most of the questions.
Yeah.
Just one thing. So equity infusion would be only for private limited. Yeah. So equity infusion will only be in the private limited. He's referring to that MSME scheme wherein the government would want to explore some of the good MSMEs wherein the government can pick up some equity and prepare that and groom that company for a larger listing in the stock market later. I think, Upasana, we have covered
yeah.
all the. Do
Yeah,
you
I
want
think
me?
we are pretty much done. And in
Yeah.
case we are going, so sometimes we do get feedback from people and we get questions from them as well. And in case there are any, we will connect them with you happily. In fact, any of you who are here right now, if you want to get connected with Rahul and Alok, please let us know. We'll be very, very happy to connect you. And I would now just say thanks very much for all of you for having joined this. And thanks Alok and thanks Rahul. Let us try and find another opportunity to maybe take this forward whenever we
Yeah.
can. But right now, thanks a lot. Thanks everyone for being here. Thank you.
Thanks, Upasana.
Thank you.
Thank you, Upasana. Thank you everyone for joining in.
Thanks.